Yo, what is up? We are riding with Milky 30 in the IS-5. Now, if you're here for the first time, please consider giving me a subscribe and a like on this video. Hopefully you will learn something. And this is the IS-5, one of 4 Clan War reward tanks that you can craft. Yes, you can craft this tank during the 10-day Clan Wars event coming up from the January 16th to January 27th. Now, the main prizes are, of course, the tier 10 reward tanks. But during the course of those 10 days, you can earn scraps of metal that you can put together and craft a couple of tier 8 reward tanks. So you can pick between the KV4 or the tier 8 Chieftain or this IS-5 or a tier 7 T23E3. Now, I think you can definitely craft one tank out if you are kind of active, but I think if you are a very active player, I think you can probably craft 2 tanks out of this Clan Wars event, which takes place in just about over a week. Now, of course, this is the IS-5, one of 3 tier 8 tanks. The other tanks are the KV4 and the Chieftain. But this tank is, if you don't know much about this tank, it is like an IS-3. It's you can compare it to a WZ111 or a Defender. What is bad about this tank? Well, basically it's a Defender but worse. When I say worse, I mean the dispersion is 0.44 and the Defender's dispersion is 0.42. So if you find the Defender gun is bad, this is even worse. Compare that to the IS-3, it has 0.38 dispersion compared to this 0.44. So it's got basically one of the worst gun handling guns in tier 8 Soviet heavies. Even when you compare it to the Chinese WZ111, it is even worse than that gun. Even the moving dispersions, the soft stats of the gun is among the worst compared to all the other tier 8 heavy tanks in this category. What does it have going for it? It has a bit of mobility. The forward speed is 42 kilometers an hour, a lot. Much like the WZ111, faster than IS-3, faster than a Defender. So basically, this is kind of like a Defender IS-3 with a worse gun. Also, the armor is a lot worse. The turret armor is only 200 millimeters from the front, whereas an IS-3 is 249 and a Defender is like 250. So the turret armor is worse. Gun handling is worse. What does it have going for it in tier 8? I'll be honest with you, the important things like the gun handling and armor is not going, it doesn't have it going for it, so it's not really that great of a tank. But the one redeeming factor that's great on this tank is the standard shell is APCR. That's right, standard APCR, although the penetration is quite low compared to the other tanks, only 221 penetration, but it's still better than a WZ111 penetration, which is 186. So 221 penetration for standard shells, but you get APCR, which means 1,400 meters per second shell velocity, means you can snipe from a distance with high velocity. You don't need to lead much. That's the great thing about this gun. So standard shells is APCR, 1,400 shell velocity, while the premium shells you get 270 penetration heat shells. So that's the good thing that you got going with this tank, is if you're going to play this tank a lot in tier 8 skirmishes, you can basically fire just standard shells and earn a lot of credits playing this tank. This is what I used to do when I got this a long time ago. This tank was basically my tier 8 skirmish tank. Every day we'd go into we go into clan skirmishes and I take out this tank, and I'd earn about 120 to 150,000 credits per game. And tier 8 skirmishes only last, if I'm not mistaken, less than 10 minutes. Average, I think, about 6 minutes. So every 6 minutes, between 120 to 150,000 credits in tier 8 skirmishes is really, really good. So this would be the consideration I would make if I was going to craft this. If I had the, if I had the scraps in Clan Wars to craft this tank out, that would be what I want to use this tank for. I would use this tank for grinding credits in tier 8 strongholds, basically in tier 8 skirmishes. If your clan is active in tier 8 skirmishes, this would be a great tank to pick up just to fire standard shells and earn lots of credits while playing skirmishes. So that's my advice to you if you're going to grind out this tank. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. As you can see, he did pretty well in this video. He did pretty well in this game in random battles. You don't get a lot of these 5,000 damage games in random battles because the penetration is kind of weak if you are fighting anything above tier 8. But if you are in same tier matchmaking, it's not going to be a problem. You're going to do pretty well even with standard shells, and if you need the extra penetration, you can always go for the heat shells with 270 penetration. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye bye.